Hello guys, today I will show you how to turn cheap screw nuts into pretty cool looking stainless steel rings using only pretty basic tools.
Okay, so this is what the ring could look like, but today I'm going to make a ring in the shape of a hexagon, but you can also make it round. You can be very creative with the shape of the ring.
For your personal protection you are going to need some safety goggles and some ear protection. I'm using big over-ear headphones. A solid vise is essential for this project, and small aluminum brackets are also very helpful, but they are definitely not necessary. I made those myself. They are very cheap and very easy to make. You will definitely need a round file like this one, or alternatively a Dremel, for removing the material on the inside of the nut. I definitely recommend using an angle grinder with a disc for cutting the metal and one for removing excess material. You will need one of these and also some water for cooling off the hot material. If you want to do a very precise and fine ring like I want to, I would definitely recommend a high quality file, but you can also use this disc and your angle grinder and it's also going to work just fine. When you make the first couple of rings for yourself, you can always test out the ring size on your own finger while filing it out. But if you later on want to make rings for other people, or for example for Christmas, I would definitely recommend getting one of these. With this you can determine the ring size of anybody, and also one of these with which you can determine the size of the ring you're actually making, so it matches. And those are both very cheap, available on Amazon. I'm aware I just mentioned a lot of tools that you would need to make those kinds of rings, and you probably don't have all of them at home just yet. But you really don't need all of them. Buy what is absolutely necessary and just fucking start. That's the most important thing about the project. Just starting and becoming better at it over time. Okay, let's start. Here we have our standard stainless steel screw nut you can get at every hardware store. We now have to file out the inside. Here I have my measurement. I want to make it up to here, so you can see I have to file out quite a bit. I will recommend hearing protection from here on out. Going to put it into the vise, use our round file, and just start working on it. I use this technique. It's going to take quite a while. Don't get too frustrated with it. And yeah. When you are doing this, every minute or so you want to check with your finger whether the inside is still round, nice and smooth. Because what can happen, especially in the first couple of times, is that small dents are forming, which will be harder to even out later on. So please check every minute or so while filing whether it's still nice and round. I actually forgot to mention one more thing before we start filing it out. Right now the nut is very wide and it looks weird in comparison to the normal ring, for example. So what we are going to do, we will cut off half of it, or maybe a third, with the angle grinder. This will also make it easier to file it out because there's less material that we need to file. Now we seriously want to use eye protection and ear protection and maybe even gloves. I'm not using gloves. Yeah, we put it into the vise like this, have our cutting blade here, and going to start. Really watch out while doing this. This thing is going to get very, very hot, so we will use our, I don't know what this is called actually, and cool it down in the water every now and then, so it doesn't get too hot and you don't burn yourself. Please pay attention. Okay, now I have separated the two, and we are going to just clean this up with the file real quick. Now we are going to clean up the inside, which is sharp metal. It has sharp metal pieces, so please pay attention. So this is what our ring looks like at this stage. This is cleaned up. We can now continue filing out the inside. This is not going to be great fun. It's going to take some time, but please stick with it. When you are getting your ring close to the size you want it to be, please check every 5 to 10 seconds or so whether it is still nice and round, because the closer you get, the less room you have to correct your mistakes. Yeah, just be careful with this, please. Okay, so I've done it. The inside of the ring is now the size I want it to be. And at this stage I like to make the inside here, this edge, very smooth. And we do this by putting the ring into the vise like this at a certain angle. And when we file out the inside with the round file, we move up like this. And yeah, do this motion. That way this will be nice and round and smooth. You will see. Okay, after doing this for a couple of times, you can rotate the ring and do the other sides, and eventually, obviously, also do this side. And don't worry too much, this does not have to be perfectly smooth just yet, because we're going to sand it out later with some sandpaper. Okay, now we are done with the first part of our ring. The inside has the right size, and these edges are already very smooth. So now we are going to work on the outside. This is the part where you have to decide what shape your ring is going to be. As I mentioned, mine is going to be the shape of hexagon, so I will only have to make the edges, this part, a little bit thinner. But you maybe want to do a round ring, or maybe have one straight edge, one straight side, and the rest round. So I will show you a simple technique with which you can make round rings look very clean. There are two possible ways to proceed from now on. You can do it all by hand with your file, or you can start with your angle grinder and your disc for removing material. When you use your angle grinder, please don't do it all the way, because the last part you should really do with a file to make it look perfect. And now I will show you the exact technique on how you can make it perfectly round. For the technique, we're going to put the ring into the vise like this, and similar to the way we did it on the inside of the ring with a round file, we're going to do this kind of motion when filing on the outside. And after a minute or so, we're going to just proceed by a little bit, do this edge, and when the ring is already round, you still want to do this, because that way it's going to stay nice and smooth, and you won't have issues with dents or it not being very round. Now I'm going to remove the excess material on the outside of the ring with my angle grinder and this blade. And while you are doing this, I would really recommend checking every 30 seconds or so, take it out of the vise, take a look at it, because you really want those edges to be very even when you do, for example, a hexagon. And it can easily happen that they are not going to be even. When the ring is already very thin, it will be hard to correct your mistake, so please just check every now and then, because we already put in quite a lot of work into the inside, so you really don't want to mess up on the outside. We're going to put the ring into the vise like this. Make sure it's straight, put on your eye protection and your hearing protection, and don't forget to cool it down after like 30 seconds or so. I already fucking burnt my fingers. It really hurts. So don't forget it. Don't hurt yourself. Yeah. Let's start. Taking it out of here and actually cooling it down. It's going to get very hot. As you saw, there was some vape coming out. Don't forget it like I just did. It hurts. Another thing I forgot to mention, if you have brackets, put them on now so that you don't damage your ring. As you can see, I already removed some material, especially on the left side. And I just want to tell you the way I approach this. So with a hexagon, I want the top side and the bottom side. I want to leave them how they are for the most part, and only start working on the sides because they should be really thin, and work on the top and the bottom later because my customer wants the top to be a little bit thicker with something engraved on it. and we can also do the bottom just a little bit thicker than the sides. So I'm going to leave them for now, and when I grinded the sides off, I ran into the problem that they did not look like a hexagon anymore. It did not look very even. So a trick I just discovered myself, you can take a perfectly fine nut, or I mean I cut this one in half, but nothing has been removed from the outside yet, and we can compare it. So when the top and the bottom is left like it is, we can just line it up, and we can see that now the angle looks fine. But when, for example, this one is just not at the right angle, you can easily tell by comparing it to a nut that is still intact. That is a trick that could work for you. And yeah, just check every 20 seconds or so that you don't make any grave mistakes, any bad mistakes, and you can recognize them early and do something about it early. Okay, I've worked a little bit more on the ring, and as you can easily tell, the ring does not look like a perfect hexagon anymore. So we're going to use our technique, line it up, and now you can easily see that we have a problem on this side. This makes it look weird. Here everything is parallel, here it's not parallel. So we are going to remove a little bit more material on this part of the side, and I'm hoping it's going to look much better. This is what my ring looks like right now. You can see I already removed quite a bit of material, but you can also tell it's not a perfect hexagon. I have to work on it a little bit more, but I'm going to use a file from here on out because my angle grinder is just too rough, and what can happen is that you accidentally remove too much material and you cannot correct your mistakes, and that would be horrible. So I'm going to use the file. I've worked on the ring for a couple of more minutes now. As you can see, the sides are nice and thin, and it also looks pretty symmetrical. I'm happy with this. Now I'm going to start working on the bottom here, make it a little bit thinner, and also just a little bit on the top. And then we are almost already done. I'm finished with the outside now. I'm very happy with the outer shape. Now I like to add a small detail. Take a look if you like it. For this we are going to file out one small detail. We want to use a slightly finer file for the small detail. You could also do it with your rougher file, but this is recommended. And we're going to do it like this, and you will see in a second what it's going to look like. I hope you can see this. I will show you a picture if you cannot. You can almost say it has the look of a diamond, kind of. I had one person say it kind of looks like a Cybertruck. I think it definitely looks cool, so try it out if you're interested. Now I'm going to correct the last couple of imperfections, filing out these flat sides once more. Okay, I actually cleaned up all the sides with my fine file. Now it looks buttery smooth, and now we're just going to, these edges are still very sharp, we're going to put it into the vise for the last couple of times and round them off so that you don't hurt yourself and it's all nice and soft on the skin. To make the edges nice and round, we are yet again going to use our nice technique, and it's going to be very easy. For the sides, same thing, maybe at a certain angle, but do this kind of motion and it's going to be very easy and very smooth. Don't use too much pressure, be very gentle, and see what you're going to end up with. It's always important to feel, because here you can feel there's still something spiky. We're going to do one of these, and now it's perfect. Just always touch it and see where you still have work to do. Okay, I've spent a couple of minutes using the file, just making every edge very smooth, and it already feels very nice. For the very, very last step, we're going to use some sanding paper, or maybe if you have this or know that you can get this, this is so-called grinding fleece or abrasive fleece. This shit can do magic. My mind was blown when I first used this. It makes everything so shiny, and it's much easier to use than sandpaper in my opinion. So we are going to use this abrasive fleece, grinding fleece, to smoothen out the inside again and just go over everything else for 3 to 5 minutes. And yeah, you're going to be very happy with your results. I really hope that. By the way, I cannot use my index finger to do this because I burned it earlier because I did not pay attention and dipped my hot ring into the water. So just as a reminder, please be careful with the hot material. Okay, now I'm finally done. This is what our ring looks like when I put it on. Oh, it doesn't fit here. Yeah, it just feels really nice. I gotta say, no one is gonna believe that you made this from a nut when it feels so nice. And I believe it looks really fucking good. I'm very happy with the result. Okay, I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to turn a simple screw nut into a stainless steel ring. I actually sell these rings with my startup clothing brand called Gruppe 6 Clothing. You can find the Instagram linked below and also our website. If you want to order one of these rings, just hit up us on Instagram. We can discuss your size and your design, and also I can also engrave something into the ring. Maybe I will do a tutorial on that topic later. In the past 9 months, I've made and sold about 30 of these rings. And by now I can make one of these rings in about 2 hours. And I think that is actually not too much time for a ring you can wear your whole life. So if you actually want to buy one of these, check out our website, check out our Instagram, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have a nice day.